Hello and welcome to Strategic Gaming. We are going to be talking about Big Brother 3 Part 2. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's jump right on in here.
There's an America's Vote who gets a letter from home, and Jason ends up getting that letter from home. Because everybody really loves Jason. No one's down. Like, everybody hates Josh, and everyone loves Jason. And Danielle says, yeah, Jason has a dark side, but that's me. I'm the evil side of Jason. The veto ceremony happens. Kiara does not use it. And Josh, even though Eric threw him under the bus, Josh is like, I'm going to flip this vote, get Lisa out of here. Vote comes out 3-3 with Danielle, Jason, and Marcellus voting to evict Eric. Roddy. Yeah, then Kiara, Roddy, and Josh voting to evict Lisa. Kiara kind of turns her back on Lisa here. Roddy, it's understandable. Roddy and Eric are bros. Lisa and Kiara are supposed to be close as well. She kind of flipped it. So this is the first tie vote in BB3. So it's up to Jerry to break that tie. Jerry stands up. Sorry, Eric. I'm about to evict you. And Eric feels really dumb because he's like, if I could have answered that last question, I would have been HOH, not Jerry. So I went from almost HOH to being the one evicted. And it sucks very, very much. Then it is revealed to Eric, your game may not be over. Of the four of the first four evicted house guests, one's coming back in the game. And Eric's like, all right, yeah, I'm totally in. I don't want to leave. I want to get back in there with Lisa. So then it's the closest to without going over HOH. Kiara wins. Now she's HOH. And basically the ladies kind of get together and they're like, yeah, we got to get Josh out of here. Like, we got to get out of here. Josh, meanwhile, going to Kiara like, I don't trust Jason. You should probably vote out Jason. Because the vote. And Jason's like, hey, I only voted the way I voted because of closeness with other people. It was nothing against anybody. Meanwhile, Danielle's kind of working over Kiara to try to take out, trying to get info from Kiara about the vote. Ends up getting the fact that Kiara voted out Lisa, and she goes right to Lisa and like, you'll never guess what I just heard. And Lisa is pissed. And now Danielle's like, yeah, I could probably use Lisa to my advantage now. Meanwhile, Roddy, because of his intellectual conversations, feels like he can't have a good conversation with anybody in the house. And so he feels like a little out of the loop because he's not talking about what everybody else is talking about. And meanwhile, they talk about Kiara's foul mouth. Whatever, people act the way they act, and Kiara, she's meshing with people. It's not a bad thing. So there's a group food comp this week, so everybody's competing together. They end up getting food, everything's all Gucci, but then they realize someone's coming back, and they're like, oh no! Especially Josh, who's like, shit, I had to do all that dirty work, and now some of it's going to get undone. And people are kind of mad, like, whoever comes in doesn't deserve it. They've already been evicted. So let's get them right back out, because they were evicted. Why are they coming back in the game? We deserve to be here, because we actually didn't get evicted. They did. So they're not even, like, a real player. Which, kind of agree with that. I think when someone's evicted, they should stay evicted. Although there have been people who came back into the game that I cheered for, and we'll talk about that in later seasons. However, the person who comes back in this one, any of the four, I just wasn't feeling. Didn't want it. But there have been times where returning players, like someone coming back into the game, was exciting for me. I liked it. It was someone I enjoyed. But still, I think if you're evicted, stay evicted. Because for those people who actually stayed in the game, and if you end up coming back in and make it farther than they do, it kind of seems like a slap in the face because they did the requirement of not getting out of the game. But, that's maybe a conversation for later, but it is valid. Kiara considering nominating Roddy and Josh, and Jack ultimately does nominate Roddy and Josh. Everyone's like, Roddy? Why'd you nominate Roddy? She's like, well, I feel Roddy is not going to go home. I just want Josh out, and this is probably the easiest way to get Josh out. And Josh is pissed at Kiara. He's like, what a bitch. How dare she come at me? And really, he's just a bad loser. And Lisa even, it's like, whatever, Josh. Just shut up. No one cares. And Kiara's like going around like, yeah, Roddy's safe, right? I would feel terrible if Roddy went home on my HOH. Like, Roddy's not going home, right? And it's like, Kiara, you going around constantly pestering people about Roddy is almost a way to ensure that Roddy gets evicted on your HOH. And if you're so worried about Roddy going out in your HOH, don't nominate Roddy. You could have nominated anybody. You could have nominated Jerry or Lisa even, or any. You didn't. You nominated Roddy, and so because of that, there's a chance he could go home. Danielle still coaching Lisa. Like, she's like, yep, Lisa's scorned by Kiara. This is my chance to turn the tides of this game. And Josh is kind of lashing out at Roddy, like, you're safe. It's easy for you to be all calm and collected. You're safe. I'm not. I'm going home, and it's not cool. It's not fair. And Lisa's like, whatever. Screw you. Why? I don't even know why you're playing the victim. You're in this place. You dug your grave. Now you got to lay in it. And Josh, he's already packing. He's like, I might as well just leave. I'm just gonna self-evict. And Roddy's like, look, don't do that. Like, don't give up like that. If you're gonna get evicted on the normal way. Don't quit. That's not you. And I do like this because, seeing anybody just quit because they think it's over is very souring. At least go through the motions. You try your best to stay in, but if you get evicted, you get evicted. But at least you went through the motions. You got evicted properly, and you did what you had to do. You did your service to Big Brother. So, I don't like when people are just like, oh, fuck it, I quit. Go through with it. Take your medicine. Danielle, however, she's like, we could take the shot at Roddy. Josh is always going to be a target, but Roddy, man, he's going to be hard to get out. So, she's helping Lisa try to play Kiara, act like Roddy's safe, but also trying to get everybody to rally the troops, get Roddy out. And this is a good play. Roddy is a player who, like, people are going to try to target Josh, Jerry, Kiara before Roddy. So it's like, man, Roddy's going to make it really far if we're not careful. But Danielle's really the only one that sees that threat level. Josh being a bit emotional, basically giving up. But everybody's annoyed at Jerry. But, no one's considering targeting Jerry. But Danielle really trying to get this Roddy plan. So there's this veto competition coming up that Lisa ends up winning. And Kiara, man, she fucks up. Because she ends up getting caught in a lie by Lisa. So Lisa knows that basically that Kiara double-crossed her. And then they're going to get outside news. And Jason's excited for that. I know I'm just going through these events. This is the notes I took. Some of this is game, some of it's not. Palace ends up getting a microwave, which they're like, oh my god, we got a microwave. Then there's lots of Josh talk. And Lisa goes with the veto, and Josh begs her to use it on Roddy. And it's like, God, Josh, you're all over the goddamn place. Lisa does not use the veto. Much to everyone, Josh's dismay anyway. Everybody else is like, ugh. Josh still trying to flip the vote, though. Still trying to get one over on Roddy. Jerry and Danielle really like, let's get Roddy out. And then Roddy finds out that Josh is campaigning. He's like, how dare you campaigning against me? Then Josh feels terrible. Roddy manages to get Josh to feel bad about the fact that Josh wanted to stay in the game. He's like, how dare you want to stay in this game over me? I deserve to be here. And Josh is like, yeah, you're right. You deserve to be here more. 5-0. Josh getting evicted. It is all four were ushered in, and they're like, how much of your prize money are you willing to give up to return to the game? And, you know, whoever would have the highest number, but both Eric and Amy say, I'll give up half my prize money if I win the game to come back in it. Lori and Tanya don't offer that much. So, Lori and Tanya, you're evicted. You're out of the house. House guests vote between Eric or Amy. And comes out 5-2. Roddy and Kiara, they vote for Eric. Jason, Danielle, Jerry, Marcellus, and Lisa vote for Amy, which it doesn't matter anyway. Like, even if Lisa votes for Eric, he still doesn't come back in. But she doesn't vote for Eric because after Eric gets evicted, Lisa's working with Danielle, and she's learning the game, learning strategy, becoming better. And if Eric comes back in, there's a target on her back again, and she's going to get distracted. And she doesn't want to be distracted. So I like that she's thinking ahead, and that she's willing to put her own personal feelings aside to get ahead in the game. So even though maybe on the first watch I wasn't as high on Lisa, I understand more of Lisa's game and respect Lisa's game a little more at this point. So 5-2, Amy is back in the house, and the HOH is basically, they're filling this tub with nasty shit, and it's like whoever stays in the tub the longest wins. And you'd think people like Roddy and Jerry are going to want this because they're trying to save themselves. But everyone's out so fast. Like, Roddy jumps out, Marcellus, Jerry, Danielle throws it, and Lisa, and then Jason's like, all right, you want it, you can have it, Amy. So Amy goes from being evicted, coming back in the house, and now she's HOH. And so Operation Revolving Door of getting the returning house guys out immediately is gone. And Lisa's feeling bad about the Eric vote. Big Brother 3, every evicted person is a juror, just like Big Brother 2. You know, in Big Brother 4, we'll actually have some pre-jurors and the sequestered jury. But this is still, everybody's on the jury, but they're home. So Lori, Tanya, Eric, and now Josh, the Phase 1 evictees, are, you know, sent back home, and they're going to watch the season. That's a pretty big thing. You go from evicted to back in the house to HOH. Now you're in control. And that's Amy doesn't really know how to do it, but we'll get into that in a minute. So Kiara, she's trying to suck up to Amy and be her friend because she knows, oh shit, like, I kind of got Amy out. She's not happy about that. There's a good chance I'm going to go on the block. Roddy also feels like a marked man. He's like, shit, I'm the one that took Amy out, so probably going to go up here. And then there's a food vouchers comp where they end up getting, they get their food for the week, but they also give $220 to Jerry to get his wife an anniversary gift, which is sweet, super sweet of them to do. But also they're talking about, you know, Jerry's really slipping by in this game. We're all worried about targeting each other, and Jerry, who should have been targeted for what he did in week 1, just kind of hanging out, getting really far in the game. And then they get a luxury comp, which ends up being a Sheryl Crow concert. So that's nice. They kind of get to stop worrying about the game for a little bit. Just a little bit. Hey, enjoy a concert. And then like, oh, yay, concert. And then it's back to the game. Marcellus and Amy, they're back together. And they're like, we got to target Kiara and Roddy. Next couple, split them up. Danielle, however, is wary of Roddy. She's like, Roddy, he's got a lot of friends in this house. He's working over Marcellus. He's working over Amy. He's working over Kiara. He's trying to get his claws on Jason. She's like, if I'm not careful, Roddy is going to win this game. And I came here to win this game. I didn't come here to give Roddy $500,000. Roddy is talking to Marcellus, trying to get info. And he's like, Marcellus, like, we're good, right? Me and you working together? Marcellus is like, I guess, yeah, we're working together. Don't know why I'm saying that, but yeah. And he's like, feels good, doesn't it? He's like, yeah, it feels good to be working with you, Roddy. So Amy, not really liking the whole power thing, but she nominates Roddy and Kiara. One of the duo must go. Kiara's upset. Meanwhile, Danielle testing the waters, trying to figure out the move here is, if we can try to get Roddy out. So it's like a slip and slide veto comp where like whoever can slide closest to this thing wins. Kiara's hardcore trying to win it, but Jerry ends up winning this veto. So it's his second veto, and he's won an HOH. So for an older guy, he's doing quite well. Danielle and Marcellus, they're like, yeah, man, Jerry's a little too good. We need to worry about him next week. Kiara's furious. She's like, I can't believe Jerry won that power of veto, and me and Roddy are on the block, and this is so terrible. And at this point, Kiara is becoming really annoying to me because she's just complaining, but it's really her own fault. Like I know Amy coming back in the game isn't really that fair, but you did this to yourself. So the girl's talking about sex in front of Jason, and poor Jason's trying to get out of the room. He's like, this is a little much for me. And then people are talking about, they're wary of Danielle, just like they're wary of Jerry. Danielle seemingly doesn't have any allies, but no one's put her on the block. Like, she's not targeted. But she doesn't know that, they don't know that both Lisa and Jason are now working with Danielle. And Lisa's even on board with the whole Roddy plan. She's like, if we can get the votes, I'll vote out Roddy. Jerry's like, I'm not going to use the veto. I want Kiara and Roddy. I want one of them to go. So, there you go. Both on the block. Roddy, meanwhile, confronts Danielle, and Danielle's like, wow. He had some very specific words that only Marcellus knew. So she knows Marcellus has been feeding info to Roddy. So she's like, well, I can't trust Marcellus now. And Roddy's got his claws in him. So I've got to get Roddy out, and I've got to be wary of Marcellus. So the house is kind of split on what to do. And Danielle tells Jason, hey, do the opposite. And he's like, do the opposite of what we talked about, or do the opposite of that? I don't understand. And he has to go vote. So Jason votes Kiara. Lisa votes Kiara. Jerry votes Kiara. Marcellus votes Kiara. But Danielle votes Roddy. Danielle was trying to say vote out Roddy. And Lisa and Jason were like, what? And they didn't do it. They had the opportunity to take him out, and they didn't do it. So by a vote of 4-1, Kiara is evicted. And it turns out they had given each other gifts, which Roddy didn't like his gift, and Kiara didn't like her gift of a book. It's all pretty bad. Pretty awkward. So Kiara gone. And so they do a former house guest memory HOH. Kind of similar to what they do often. Jason ends up winning. Jason now the HOH. Danielle's like, this is perfect. He's not going to put me or Lisa up. We're going to take out Roddy. We need to get Roddy. Meanwhile, Kiara being gone, Roddy's like, man, I'm screwed. She was my closest ally. Danielle's like, we should have gotten Roddy out. This is going to come back to haunt me. And then even Lisa's now like, should I work with Danielle or should I turn the tides? What am I doing here? You know, because Danielle, she knows Roddy's a danger, but she the miscommunication was a misfire. Couldn't get him out, and I understand her wanting Roddy out, but Roddy has really sunk his claws into everybody. Everybody really wants Roddy to do well in this game, even over themselves for some of them. And it's really bad for Danielle, and it's good that she recognizes this, but she's got to get traction behind this vote. And Jason talks about, hey, you know, in this game, I'm really only loyal to Danielle. That's the person I put in front of everybody. And then we get the classic smaller table. What was once the big table for 12 is now a table for 7. And it's a little weird, you know, for them to see such a small table. They're like, wow, you remember when there was 12 of us in here? Amy has a bit of an alcohol problem. She's constantly asking people for their alcohol and getting sloppy drunk. And Marcellus he's like, I'm nervous about being aligned with somebody that does this. This makes me look very bad. He's very self-aware of, you know, if whatever Amy does reflects on me because we're so close. Meanwhile, Cherry is like trying to get really comfortable with Marcellus, and Marcellus is uncomfortable at how comfortable Jerry is. And he's like, you don't have to, like, it's weird how close you are to me all the time. So it's a little funny to see that little interaction. Meanwhile, they do a food comp with like this donut relay thing, and they end up winning half their food. Jason doesn't want to do the Roddy plan. He even like, and Roddy's like, Jason, I would never go against you. I would never do anything. I want to work with you, Jason, and I'm good to you, Jason. Don't put me up. Kind of using the emotional play, and Jason's like, I can't put him up. I know he's a danger to my game, but I can't do it. I don't want to feel bad about putting up Roddy. So even though Roddy has done this genius thing of he is great at making people think that they've done him wrong, and people like Josh and Kiara and, you know, now Jason are and Marcellus have put him before them and are making decisions that only benefit Roddy, and he's got such a social control on these people. And Danielle's furious. So the noms come up, and Jerry and Amy are on the block. And Amy feels like it's Jerry's time to go. Jerry's like, yeah, I'm probably the target here. Roddy, you know, he's really proven to be that tough cookie. Danielle's like, he's the devil. This man is the devil. Every time I try to take him out, some weird shit happens. He talks his way out of it, and he's going to be the death of me if we don't get him out soon. Then, classic Big Brother moment here. We do the gnome challenge, where they have to paint these gnomes, and, you know, you're trying to basically break someone's gnome by answering a question correctly. This is the veto comp. Well, Marcellus has named his gnome Boo, and he loves Boo. So he's very mortified to find out Boo could be destroyed. And Jason and Danielle, they really want this veto. So everybody's gnomes are getting destroyed except for Roddy's and Marcellus. Even though they lose the veto, Boo survives. Marcellus is like, oh my god, Boo is alive. I'm so glad. I thought he was dead. Oh, Boo. And he's carrying around Boo, and it's cute. Jason wins power veto. And there's also talk of Roddy's gnome being evil, which is funny because of all the devil talk about Roddy. Danielle, she's really missing home, but she's like, I have to win this game for my family. And Amy talks about worrying about, because of her social snobby tendencies, not finding love, and just a genuine conversation with Lisa that she has. So Danielle wins a message from home. And this fuels her. She's like, yes, now that I've seen that message from home, I'm reminded why I'm here. I'm ready to kick ass in this game. And Jason's trying to find out, all right, where does Roddy stand with Danielle? And Roddy lets slip that he's going to target Danielle. And Jason's like, shit, well, if he's targeting Danielle, I can't let Roddy stay in the game because Danielle's my number one. And even Jerry comes up, tries to make this deal with Jason. Like, use the veto, put Roddy up, I will take Roddy out. I have no problem with that. Jason, however, still cannot get himself to do it. Feels like he's cost himself the game, but he does not use the veto, keeping Jerry and Amy on the block. Roddy versus Danielle, basically, going to be heading into the final 6. And Danielle's working overtime, like, man, I got to get Roddy out next week. I have to get Roddy out next week. Whatever happens, Roddy's got to go. So the vote comes out 4-0. Jerry is evicted from the Big Brother house. And it is kind of, he did very well. The older guy, it's hard. The generation gap was there, and also he made some bad game decisions, especially the Marcellus thing. But he made it pretty far. He managed to slip by for a while and win some comps that we didn't think he was going to win. So I think Jerry played the best game that Jerry was capable of playing. He made a lot of mistakes. There was some things I did not agree with, but I think he played to the best of his abilities. Whereas Kiara, I think, started off well, but really just let her personal feelings with Roddy get in the way of her game. So that's my thoughts on the evictees here. So there's a true or false head of household where Marcellus, second time this season, becomes HOH. And Amy is super excited. She's like, I'm not going to go on the block because I've been on the block every time except for 3 times, I think. And when she was HOH in the 2 weeks, she was, not Marcellus's first HOH. She wasn't on the block. The 2 weeks she was out of the game, she wasn't on the block because she wasn't in the game. And then she was HOH, couldn't put herself up. Any other time, Amy's been on the block. So she's like, yeah, I'm not going up. But you can't act too excited when you're not the HOH. Like, you can't put such a target on both you and Marcellus, and he's aware of this. And Danielle and Jason are like, shit. They could just as easily put one of us up. I don't know where Marcellus's head lies, especially with Roddy being Roddy and reeling everybody in, which he's currently doing with Amy. Danielle and Lisa, they're communicating. This is really neat. They're using sign language to communicate so that Roddy can't hear them. But Roddy's trying to get Lisa to teach him sign language, and Danielle's like, don't you teach the devil sign language. So she's trying to leave out certain letters, so if they're talking about him, he won't know they're talking about him, things like that. She's trying to dumb down the lessons to give them a little more time to sign language their like, how cool to use like something that most of the house doesn't know to be able to communicate exclusively with somebody. Pretty neat. And then the map room, which was where it was called the high rent district, where like Marcellus and Kiara and Roddy slept. It's being shut down. They always close down a bedroom because there's no one sleeping in it anymore. The house guests are kind of, forced to, they don't want everybody sleeping in separate rooms. They want to push them together a little more. So they close down the bedroom. And to celebrate it, they have a food comp with all these pies, and they manage to get them all. And then they just start pelting each other with pies, having fun. Big food fight. And Amy loses a ring. And Marcellus is like, why were you even wearing a fucking ring in here? You knew we were going to be throwing pies around. And so she's crying. Danielle finds it, miraculously. They go outside to shower off. Amy loses it again. Makes a big scene about losing it again. They're like, why'd you put it back on? Why wouldn't you just sit it on the table? And Marcellus is like, I am so over her being a drama queen and making all this commotion. I'm ready to put her ass up. So, but he puts up Roddy and Amy. So he puts up his closest ally because she's annoying the shit out of him. And he has this speech where he really villainizes her, and I think it was definitely uncalled for. Like, did Amy do a lot of weird shit and bad shit? Yeah, but he didn't need to go as personal as he did. But I do understand he was trying to distance himself from her because of the bad decisions he was making. It's going to affect his game. And Roddy is super pissed about how that came to be. But Amy and Marcellus do make up. They do remain friends. And Amy promises Roddy, because she had made a promise to Roddy that, hey, if I win the veto, I'll take you down. And Roddy's like, that's still good, right? And she's like, yeah, I don't care if I get evicted. I've been evicted once, I'll get evicted twice. I just want you to go far, Roddy. You deserve it. She's like, but if I use the veto on you, you'll vote to save me, right? And Roddy's like, well, I can't really vote. If the House is going to vote to evict you, I'm going to vote to evict you too. Well, Amy's like, well, I'm not going to use the veto on you, and then you vote me out. I'll feel really stupid if that happens. Well, he's like, you promised me to use the veto. Are you a liar? So he's really trying to make her feel big. And I think this is Roddy's fatal flaw, is that he is right at the moment where he can convince someone to use the veto on him, knowing that if they do, they're gone. Someone is going to fall on the sword for him. And all he has to do is lie. Or just vote to keep them. No one else is going to. But no, he can't do it. He has to have his cake and eat it too. He doesn't want to be painted as the guy who didn't vote with the House. But he wants to be saved, and Roddy, you fucked up. And he's like, well, I just don't want to lie. Well, don't lie. Just exclude it. Be like, yeah, I'll vote to save you, and then vote to save her, but it won't matter. It is a bad play. It was the bad move on Roddy's part. So there's an obstacle course veto, and Amy wins. And the House is like, shit. She's going to use it. She promised she was going to use it. Roddy done snuck by. Danielle's like, devil. And Amy's like, I still might use it. And there's a massage and shopping spree. Roddy is still pushing Amy to use that veto, but she doesn't use it. And Roddy's pissed, like, how dare you lie to me about using that veto? And she's like, you didn't guarantee me that you were going to vote for me. Like, that's bad on you. I'm not going to use the veto. However, Amy, still having problems, drinking too much, becoming sloppy, and really annoying the rest of the house. She has a problem, and because of that, they're considering voting her out over Roddy, and Danielle's like, no, she's not a threat. Why are we doing this? She's annoying people so much that they're willing to keep a threat in the house just to get rid of her. And at this point, Roddy's kind of flirting with Lisa, trying to kind of give himself any advantage he can. But Lisa realizes this, and she's not falling for it. So, by a vote of 3-0, Roddy is evicted. And then we go to like I said, Roddy's fatal flaw in the game is that he didn't lie to Amy. If he'd have been safe, Amy would have been evicted, and he would be in the final 5. So, and he's very, very upset. He's like, can't believe Amy didn't use it. I like Roddy's strategy, but really, and he seems like an okay person, but he's such a sore loser at the end of it that it really sours me on him. Because midway through watching this season, I'm like, I wish Roddy would have played again. Because I would have liked to see Roddy play again. But then at the end, I'm like, wow, Roddy was an asshole because he's such a bitch about losing. Only one person's going to win. So I don't know why you're freaking out. You're the one that fucked up. You didn't lie to Amy. That was your fatal flaw, and now you're in 6th place. Deal with it. So that's my last words on Roddy. Which leads us to the final part for Phase 3. The final part for Phase 2. The final vote. So it is a multiple choice head of household. Jason, always topping Marcellus. He's 2-time HOH as well. And people are really souring at Roddy's last words. They're like, wow, what a sore loser. Putting all that pressure on Amy. Jason and Danielle really didn't want that power. They didn't want to be HOH, but Jason accidentally won. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, we're going to do the golden power veto, where the nominee can save themselves. And everyone's like, oh shit, that's bad. Meanwhile, we go to the food comp, where, everyone's playing, and people, Danielle, Marcellus, Lisa, and Amy, they give up. And Jason's like, I would have fought really hard to win this food comp, and I'm really disappointed that they just gave up. Then Danielle's like, we got to get Marcellus out of here. Amy, we can beat her pretty easily, but the three of us, we got to get Marcellus out of here. So Jason nominates Amy and Marcellus, deja vu. Amy and Marcellus on the block together again. Amy on the block yet again. Marcellus, he feels betrayed. He's like, how dare they come at me? I've been on their side. But he really wasn't. He was working with Roddy. And, there's a lot of talk over it. Then they do this really cool, laser dodging eviction order veto. It's really cool looking. Marcellus wins, and he's contemplating not using it. And this is a huge talking point, because I think 90% of people who play Big Brother, if you have the golden power veto, you're on the block, and it's the final 5, or really if you're on the block and period, but yet alone, it's the final 5. You're going to use it and guarantee yourself a spot in the final 4. You're not going to put your fate in someone else's hands. You're going to use it and guarantee yourself a spot in the final 4. But he's like, I don't know. I feel bad about using it. Lisa, though, she's like, Danielle and Jason are working together. Because by now, it's kind of hard to hide the fact that Danielle and Jason are working together because there's so little people in the house. Lisa's like, I need Marcellus. Because Amy, kind of useless. But me and Marcellus can team up against Danielle and Jason. I could try to take Marcellus to the end. And that's how we'll do it. So Lisa is contemplating it. Danielle working overtime to try to trick Marcellus. She's like, if Marcellus doesn't use this veto, it's going to be so awesome, and we're going to evict him, and yes, we're going to do this. Marcellus doesn't use the power of veto. And even Julie's like, are you sure? And he's like, yep, not going to use it. So Danielle votes to evict Marcellus. Lisa votes to evict Amy. Now, there's a tie. Jason, who do you choose to evict? And Jason's like, I hoped I didn't have to do this. You should have used the veto. Marcellus, I have to evict you. You should have used the veto. Marcellus, I have to evict you. Marcellus is shocked. He didn't have all of his bags packed because he thought he was going to use it. And he's blindsided, and he's making his way out of the house like, oh my god, I can't believe I just did that. Oh, it's Brent. And Julie smacks his head like, why didn't you use the veto? Which is really, it's self-explanatory here. Marcellus is out because he was guaranteed a spot in the Final Four. He was guaranteed to go to the Final Four. And he loses because he doesn't save himself. Or even try to save Amy and then let Lisa take the bullet. Like, oh my gosh, he didn't do anything. Like, you get the biggest power in the game and you don't use it. What is wrong with you, man? It's probably known as one of the biggest mistakes in Big Brother history. And that will end phase 2. Going into phase 3, the final phase of Big Brother 3, we got our final 4. We got Amy, we got Danielle, we got Jason, and Lisa. So yeah, stay tuned to hear about how this ends. Thanks, Nerd Nation. My name's Mac Taylor.